Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Speed Street Podcast. My name is Connor Daly. If you're not familiar with my face or my voice, driver of the number 76 Juncos Hollinger Racing Chevrolet, the Cyclum Travel Center's car over the weekend. We have a Barber race to talk about. We have a very, very unique guest segment today because we didn't get just one driver. We decided to get two drivers, because I believe that there were two stars of the motor race over the weekend. And a lot of people requested one driver. And I believed also that there was no reason to ignore the sheer incredibleness and dominance that Alex Palou is putting on right now. I want to talk to him about a few different things. So we've got an Alex Palou interview, and we've got Rinus Veekay on the show, who did an absolute star job with the Dale Coyne Racing team. But Chase, I want to get your thoughts. You were there. You were at the race. Chase Holden is here, my co-host. Good TV ratings to talk about too. We want to make sure that we pump those out. So let's get all these naysayers to get, honestly, where are the positive tweets? Haven't seen all the haters that are like, oh, IndyCar sucks because of the ratings. I haven't seen anyone react to the 30% growth or whatever over network ratings over last year. So anyway, but we're going to talk about that because we like IndyCar and we want to see it grow. So Chase, tell us about your weekend at Barber. What did you think?
First thing I want to just say is every one of the fans turned up on another level. We got rowdy at Barber. Okay. So that right there alone is something to be proud of. Not only do we have good ratings, but the experience, Barber is a track that I've been to multiple times now. They call it the Augusta of motorsports. It's one of the most beautiful racetracks that is on our schedule. And the fans, it's funny and interesting because you get like a lot of NASCAR fans that come out to that race.
Oh, yeah.
And we did have a ton of NASCAR fans this year. A lot more Dale Jr. Bud hats than I expected. A lot of Dale Earnhardt jackets. So it's great for overlap, right? It's great for overlapping and getting multiple fans of motorsport to come out to IndyCar, and that's good for IndyCar itself, right? You get new fans all the time.
Absolutely.
At that track. But I had an incredible time. I had my longtime best friend from high school that we do a lot of projects and things like that together. He got to come out to his first IndyCar race. You got to meet him. That he was blown away. He was like I'll never forget sitting on the pit road with him looking, and he was just like, I have to admit, he said that these cars look a lot slower on TV. And I did not. I was like, that's production quality. Like, that's what it is. So he was blown away. He loved it. And then, just getting to see everybody, all the Speed Street fans. We had some Louisiana Speed Street fans, by the way. I didn't know that existed.
Heck yeah.
So big shout out to all the fans, everyone that showed up big in Barber, all the teams. And, just a beautiful racetrack that I hope we don't ever see leave this series. It's just they call it the roller coaster. I like that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna start calling it now, the roller coaster.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you were there. I want to hear about some of your interactions, maybe with some different drivers or folks as well later on in the show. We're going to try to pound through a little bit of a Barber review here quickly, just because we want to give two drivers a good chance to talk about their weekends. And today has already been the month of May is truly here, because I don't think I've been sitting for more than 35 minutes in the last 3 days. So we've been actually, the most time I spent sitting was in the race car on Sunday at Barber. So let's get right into the results. Let's get into a couple stories from the race and look ahead towards the Indy GP that we got coming up. So let's crack into the results here real quick. Obviously, we've got Alex Palou with an absolute dominant victory. I mean, the guy, the craziest part about Alex Palou winning by as much as he did, when I heard, obviously we did not have a great day. We all know that. No yellows once again. So when, we finished 19th, and when they said, hey, leaders behind you, I'm like, oh, well, I'm sure it's Alex Palou. And I had been braking pretty strongly into turn 5 all day. Like I had been defending from Malukas, a couple other drivers, Marcus Ericsson. He actually hit me into turn 5 once trying to pass me, but had been really strong on the brakes all day. And I wasn't like super pumped, that Alex Palou had already got to us. And you obviously want to stay ahead of the leader if there's a yellow that comes out, whatever. But I'm not going to fight Alex crazy hard. I braked probably as late as I had braked all day into turn 5, and Alex Palou, not only did he brake way later than me, but was fully in control. What those cars are able to do and what Alex Palou is able to do with those cars right now is truly astounding. And I've got a quote from Mike Shank as well that I'm going to play for you guys that is, again, the whole spec series thing, we're going to get into that, and Mike Shank will tell you exactly how it really is, and I love his quote for saying this, but it was crazy to see. And then the rest of the race, I still maybe had like 10 laps to go. Second place never got to me. So like I was kind of like, oh, maybe there's a race going on. There was not a race going on. Alex Palou was winning by a mile. So that was kind of wild. But let's get into the results to read through it. So Alex Palou, obviously the winner. Christian Lundgaard, another great race for Christian Lundgaard. Really showing why McLaren selected him and just showing the differences in teams, I would say. Alex Palou, Christian Lundgaard, Scott McLaughlin couldn't get 3 in a row. I really thought he had a shot. And you know what? Still podium. Good day for those guys. Rinus Veekay, without a doubt, the driver of the day. If IndyCar had a driver of the day, I believe Rinus Veekay is it. Either Rinus Veekay or Christian Lundgaard, finishing 4th in the Dale Coyne Racing team. Small team, smaller resources. However, they did recently hire some new people that I heard about, specifically in the damper department. That is very, very important, as we know. So some very smart people have gone there, obviously, to work with Rinus. Dale Coyne, knowing that he has probably got a really good driver and he wants to support that driver, which is really important. That's how good teams and good drivers work together. Will Power was 5th. Pato O'Ward 6th. Colton Herta 7th. Alex Rossi, another great drive for Alex Rossi. Always kind of finding himself in the top 10 no matter what. Nolan Siegel, honestly, highest qualifying McLaren driver. Great run for young Nolan. That was a big one for him. We can definitely talk about that. Joseph Newgarden, just 10th. Everyone's kind of probably asking, hey, what's going on? What's... I haven't seen a Joseph Newgarden or a Chevrolet in victory lane yet. That's kind of crazy. Kyle Kirkwood, 11th. He started like right next to me, right in front of me, and I was trying to follow him, but he had a great run. Scott Dixon, of course, starts at second to last and finishes 12th. It always happens like that. Felix Rosenquist, 13th. Graham Rahal, 14th. Christian Rasmussen, 15th. David Malukas, 16th. Marcus Armstrong, tough weekend for him. 17th, Santino Ferrucci, 18th, me 19th, Marcus Ericsson, Indy 500 champion, 20th, Kiffin Simpson, 21st, Stingray Robb, 22nd, Callum Ilott, Devlin DeFrancesco, Robert Schwartzman, Louis Foster, Jacob Abel. No retirements. Everyone was running this race. Wild to kind of go through yet another event that was completely trouble-free. And I'm going to explain a little bit about what kind of happened to our race right out the gate. We started on the red tire. It did seem like the most interesting thing about how these races work out. The primary tire was, again, the bad tire. You did not want to be on the primary tire. It was, honestly, it was really just flat out slow compared to the red tire and did not help you degradation-wise. It just was not the tire you wanted to be on. But at Barber, since we know as a team we have been struggling on the primary tire, to be a little bit outside of the window of pace at the beginning, we had to start on red. So we got a good start, but Callum Ilott actually got hit by, I think, Kyle Kirkwood right in front of me, and a giant piece of Callum Ilott's car basically flew out of the rear end of his car, hit my car, and we stopped. The whole outside row stopped. And I was like, there goes all my momentum. I was trying to follow Kyle Kirkwood because I know Kyle is a good racer, and I was like, this is the guy I want to follow. I know we can get a good start here. But sadly, all of my momentum still stopped. I was able to get behind Kyle still as he went out of turn 5, but we we kind of lost all of our momentum there and basically still just ended up in the same spot that we were. And the first stint, though, was okay. I was following Felix Rosenqvist. I'm like, all right, cool. I could tell the primary tires are struggling. Santino Ferrucci is falling back like crazy. He started on the primary. Joseph Newgarden even started on the primary, and he was struggling. We were kind of in this little pack. But the race ends up, I actually I haven't had a chance to watch the race yet. It's actually on my television right now, just kind of playing in the background, giving IndyCar the YouTube creds, and like, let's get, give them a view, give them some time through the race. But, our second stint was Reds. Again, had decent pace on Reds, like good enough to, we were with the Rasmussen crowd. We were with kind of the Felix crowd, with that mid, like 10th to 14th-ish range. We cycled forward a couple times on strategy. Rasmussen and Rosenqvist, me, and then we had to go to the primary tire. And the primary tire for me was an absolute battle. I've never been more defensive in my life. I tell you what, David Malukas and I dueled for almost 2 full stints. And I got to give him credit. He probably hates me currently because I had to defend and block my life out. And honestly, he raced me really clean. I got to give him credit for that. He could have been way more mean and terrible to me, but it was good racing between us. We held him off. He eventually got us on the very, very last pit cycle because I basically got ran off the track by Santino Ferrucci. And again, it was kind of a funny moment. Santino's been good to race against so far this year, but we both went into turn 5 towards the end of the race, and I braked so late I locked the left front. He braked so late that if I didn't stop the way I did, we were going to wreck, and that would have been your yellow. He was launched into that corner like a missile, and he was going to either wreck me or somehow get through there. We both went in there all the way to the edge of the track, and I lost basically just about 2 seconds in that exchange, which gave David Malukas the chance to get around in that segment. But yeah, just a struggle on the primary tire for us. We are not fast enough mechanically. We just need to generate more grip. We're not able to kind of get the tire to grip and activate the way we needed to in qualifying. Similar thing. We just were out of the window. So if you start the lap, these tires are really good for one ultimate lap. You'll see a couple drivers do maybe 2 in a row, and that next one is the last one is best, and that was in my situation. But if you're not able to kind of produce a lap time on the most ideal temperature and pressure window, you are giving up a little bit of lap time. And for us, it was the second half of my second lap. Felt really good, and segment-wise, really good. And the first half of the next lap. Now, my last lap ended up being the best lap, but only by a 10th. And so, again, we miss out by transferring by 0.2 of a second. So it's the smallest of margins. Now in IndyCar, I think it's become so competitive and so dialed in on the tire side that this is what we're focusing on. Before, earlier on in my IndyCar career, it was like, all right, when you put on the Reds, it's probably going to be the second, maybe the third lap. You might have 2 or 3 to get it done. Now it's like, we got to figure out the exact temperature window, exact pressure window for everything to be perfect to deliver the best lap. And if not, someone else is going to do it. So it's become a wild situation for that. And we, I'll be honest with you guys, this has been a real struggle. And we are, we did lose an engineer to another team. That's kind of been a shop base, but again, sometimes that happens. And we are, our guys are busting their butts. And I tell you what, I appreciate this team for working with us in every day. The workloads are now getting crazy too, because we're, one day after another. We got another race next weekend, but we, as a group, for sure, have a lot of development to do. We've got to find mechanical grip. We've got to find, a little bit more to just be able to compete at that level. And right now, when there's no yellows, you really have no chance to kind of take advantage of your racecraft and restart craft. Because right now, once you're out there and you're kind of cycling through strategies, there's really not a ton of action. I can't lie. These races without yellows have become kind of frustrating and annoying, because once you're committed to one strategy, it's hard to really pivot to another one. And you see a guy like Dixon. I never saw Scott Dixon the entire race. Finished 12th. Never saw him once. Never saw the color of his car. I mean, but if you he pits early, gets rid of the primaries, runs reds all the rest of the race, has enough clear track to just jump people forward. And again, those guys have the pace to do it. But it's just become, we need to see a little bit more excitement. And I truly don't believe you can blame the hybrid for all of this tough racing, but it is the only outside element that everyone points to. And I believe that we could have a string of races that might be crazy. Who knows? But that was kind of the issue for us. But Chase, when you look at the race, you were there. Were people kind of locked in? We almost had 1 million people watching it on TV. So all the haters that are like, oh, the hybrid, no one's going to watch it. I mean, you were wrong, sadly. It's for us to get almost 1 million viewers up against. There was a lot of sports on that weekend. Formula One was very close to our timing. NASCAR was kind of simple, very close to us as well, just after us on FS1. But did it seem like the vibes were high there? Because a crowd was great. The energy of the crowd. And again, once you go to an IndyCar race, you're like, these guys, this is awesome. Everyone's pumped here.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much like when you're out at the track, everybody is just kind of, it's a mix between like wherever you choose to sit at. They have a great area in the Pines where a lot of people go to. They have some great just grass sitting areas within certain turns around the track. So you kind of have like this mixed vibe where like you're just kind of, it's a typical road course. You're waiting for the cars to come by you. Then you have some areas that have the screens that are laid out so that you can watch, the race broadcast, which I think is incredible. That's one of the biggest things that you want to be able to have at a road course race for the fans. So everybody, had that moment to where they got to see the live action coming by wherever they were at. You got to see that on the screen the rest of the way. And then you talk about like the vibes there. I think the vibes are always going to be great when you're at the track. But I think what really mattered for this race is for all the fans that weren't at the track, because there was a lot of online discussion, and I rewatched some of the broadcasts last night. And after rewatching it, listening to it, watching that race, it seems like obviously with the numbers we have, maybe some people do like watching a driver dominate a race. One of the things,
we're just liking racing. We just like racing. Hey,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
okay to just like racing, even if it's not the most exciting thing in the world, right? That's okay.
Right.
But we're still IndyCar racing.
The one thing that I wanted to ask you about, and I mean, the big argument right now is like cautions. It almost seemed like some people were just like begging for a caution. And if you don't ever want to just manipulate like a race when it's going on, and I thought it was a great race. I mean, yeah, maybe there wasn't as many passes as we would have liked or that entertainment, that action. But I think even looking at it through your eyes and the driver's eyes and the team's eyes, this means, okay, our drivers are kind of doing their job. We've got things kind of scaled up at a certain pace. A lot of drivers got messed up on pit road, and that wasn't necessarily a driver's fault. It was more the team. So it's like, how do we start to pivot this strategy now since we don't have these yellows? Like, what is going to be the thing that we can control in this area where you guys are really kind of, performing at your best when you're behind the wheel? There has to be other areas where people can get sharper on pit road. The strategies have to improve. What do you think about that?
You know what? I don't know what it's going to take, honestly. Like, I think Indy GP will be a very interesting one, but teams are performing at a high level. Teams are dialing in their cars and their setups. But I think so much of the joy of IndyCar is having those crazy strategies that you can just, either get onto in the middle of the race or start with. And, we saw strategies work out really well at Long Beach. But I want to play this quote before we get too far into it, because this might kind of tell just how much difference there is between the teams. This is from Mike Shank on the Fox broadcast in the warm-up. So the warm-up, they have this really cool sit-down, Hinch and Townsend Bell and Will Buxton. They sat down with Mike Shank. So they are partnered with Ganassi this year. And I know you guys hear it from me very often when I say this is not a spec series. It really is not. And he basically points it out. And so I'm going to play this, and I hope you guys can hear it. And if not, Bobby will tell you about it. But listen to this quote from Mike Shank and question from Hinch.
You talk about that technical partnership, so let's get into it.
Yeah.
A few years, you had that alliance with Andretti Global. You switched over to Ganassi now. What's been the biggest difference for you, and what are your drivers telling you is the biggest difference in that relationship change?
Great question. So the one thing I can tell you is Andretti was a great 5 years. We won the Indy 500. We had our first pole with them ever, and there was a lot of great stuff out of that. Switching over with Chip now, it's been great. You know, it's a different, it's funny. You know, we have a spec car. It's supposed to be a spec car, but you cannot believe how differently they're built. Car, team to team, right? We do what we do, and then we take bits of the people that we're with. It's almost like the perfect world. But we always try to want to technically be as close to their car build as our car build, just so we can compare, right? But I can tell you there's a reason Chip has won, was the 16 championships. They really they're very simplistic, very smart, very simplistic, do not overcomplicate anything. And, the other day we had a rain session. Alex Palou went out in the rain. He did one thing. He went like this with the front wing. Not springs, not camber, not right. He just went, boom.
And he was super quick. Yeah, he was quick by a mile.
So my point is the simplistic part of it is what kind of...
Interesting. So a great quote from Mike Shank. And again, these cars can be built so differently, and the internals, what people are doing inside the gearbox, the uprights, the suspensions, all the things. And again, none of those secrets will ever be told to you folks. Sadly, I'm sorry. That's just that, because that's why these teams stay successful. They keep their stuff in house. Some people have managed to get out to other teams and bring some secrets around, but man, Mike Shank, the Ganassi team right now is executing at such a high level. But Alex Palou is executing at the very highest level, and it's going to be wild to see who can challenge him. I had a couple other notes from the race. Some good cars struggled. I'm defending from Marcus Ericsson, who's obviously had Marcus Ericsson's Indy 500 champion, multiple race winner, and I talked to him after the race. And he was like, man, yeah, we just could not, we struggle with the tires too, struggle with things. So if you're not on, you're going to have a struggle. I mean, this wasn't just because they had a problem or something. He obviously had his crash in practice, which was tough. But teams are going to have, strong cars are going to have off days. And Alex Palou has had none of those. So it's going to be a wild world to see who can beat Alex Palou. We're going to have him on the show here very, very soon. But I still thought there was some good racing. I've got the race on literally right next to me, just kind of having it on in the background. There were still some side-by-side moments, and I actually love what the director did. I just saw a pass between Prema and Devlin DiFrancesco. They finished second to last and last. Still a good pass. I enjoyed seeing it. You know what I mean? So right. Shout out to the Fox director for kind of getting that going. But yeah, as we head to the Indy GP this week, we're going to preview it probably after we talk to Alex Palou, or actually maybe even a little bit before. But yeah, the ratings were good. Chase and we've got a couple minutes before Alex jumps on here with us, but almost 1 million people. I think we peaked at 975,000, something like that. That's good. That's up. I don't know what the percentage was, but it's up
20%.
20%. Over last year, which was on NBC. So
huge. That's
good. And it's probably just a nice boost going into the, Indianapolis Motor Speedway things. I mean, you put out a tweet that said, trust the process. I truly believe that as well. I think everyone thought the ship was sinking after the last, after Long Beach ratings.
People like to make it sound that way.
It's not. Yeah, we're here, we're racing. Everyone was like, I want to see some, hey, you know what? This was good. So I liked it. What do you think?
No, I think that is all you need to know about what the people wanted. The people obviously tuned in. They watched. And the more that it's a pretty simple thing, especially after last week's show, the conversations, things that we had. You can keep pumping all the negativity in that you want. That's not, if you really care about the series, that's not going to benefit it. at all, because people see that, and you want to have everything in line to where we can be on the best upward trajectory possible, which is what we are seeing now going into the month of May. And that's another thing too. Like, obviously, you know, the Indy 500 coming up could have an effect with those numbers going up, and we welcome that. That's fine.
It will.
You know, but I also have to just kind of look and see, like, there's just more conversation going on now. So the more conversation that we have going on about IndyCar, the more people are going to be intrigued. The more people are just going to kind of want to tune in and see what's going on. And maybe it was just a product of that.
And a lot of people are watching. A lot of people are watching motorsport. I mean, you got 2.1 million people watching the Miami Grand Prix, which, again, Formula One race in America. But no one's going to talk about this because no one likes to ever point out deficiencies in Formula One. They were down 1 million viewers from the year before. So I'm going to point it out. That doesn't seem like a great thing. But TV ratings don't matter for them, apparently, because it's, you know, it's the cool thing to like. Every single celebrity in the entire world was in Miami. And I mean, we got a lot to talk. I'm going to talk about that probably towards the end of the show. But 2.5 million people
themselves.
Yeah, 2.5 million people watch Cup. 1 million people watch Xfinity. So there's a lot of people watching motorsport, which is good. And I'm glad we didn't have to go head to head against NASCAR. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this with Alex Palou and Rinus Veekay. We might even do a in-between segment. We're just kind of doing this like, hey, maybe we're going to talk to Alex Palou now, maybe having a light discussion afterwards, and then get right into Rinus afterwards, and then wrap up the show. So with that, we're going to get to the multiple race winner so far this year, the championship leader, the man who really has not stopped being successful ever in his life, probably, Alex Palou. Well, folks, this is a name that you are very familiar with, and some people even in the comments after the race were like, we got to get another driver on the show. And I was like, I think at this point, no, we need to actually understand, maybe dive a little bit deeper into the success, maybe try to get a little bit more out of this absolute hero right now who is doing something, at least in my IndyCar career. I've been around a lot longer than you, Alex, now in this IndyCar world. But this is truly something that I have not really seen in a while. Certainly in my, like when I was around early, Scott Dixon was still winning everything, right? Like he was winning a bunch of stuff, and, you know, Penske. But this is a level of dominance that I've never seen. Alex Palou, welcome to the show once again. How does it feel? What this has to feel sweet. When people start to get angry at you because you're so good, that's when you know you're doing things correctly, and that must be awesome.
It is. It's awesome. Yeah, I've never felt this good, honestly. It sucks in a way that people get mad. It's like, what? Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I just
You're doing your job.
Best.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. Honestly, it's great. I feel really lucky to be driving that 10 car and feeling so good with the car. I know that's a wave. I know that this is not forever, that it could be the last time, or we could have like 2 more races. That would be great. But yeah, I know I'm just enjoying every single moment that this year is bringing so far.
I mean, this is a run now that I don't know. It's hard to compare it to anything else. And when you look at what you guys are doing, and I played a quote earlier in our show, actually from Mike Shank. So Mike Shank, he was on the Fox broadcast for the warm-up session. And he had mentioned, he's like, oh, it was great partnership with Andretti. But when we got to Chip Ganassi Racing and that partnership, he's like, you know why Chip won so many championships. And it was a great quote, because I've always been telling people, now again, this is, you know, IndyCar being a spec series isn't really true. There's a lot of ways how people can build the cars, how you assemble the pieces, what you do internally, all these things. And Mike literally said it. He's like, the way their cars are built, the way they kind of keep things simple, but everything has to be, you know, perfect, and everyone's dedicated to winning all the time. It was fascinating, because I'm like, at least I'm not the one saying it. Like, these guys do it a different way. They do it the best. You guys are doing it the best right now, and it has to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot really. I don't actually know. Like, if you take me out of there and you put me in my own team, let's say I build a team and I try to replicate, I wouldn't know how to do it. Like, for sure, they build really fast cars. They've always been doing it. But I would say that the most surprising thing is that they keep on adding a little bit, like they've won,
Exactly.
15, 16 championships. If I was Chip or if I was Mike, I would be more like, it's okay. Like we've won 15, like it's enough. But it's the opposite, man. Like Chip and Mike and everybody there in the building, they know that who cares what we did last week or 2 years ago or 5 years ago. It's all about the last race. It's all about the next race at the same time. And nobody gets any rest. Like, yes, I mean, like they keep on trying to get some more speed from the cars, pushing the drivers as well. How can we get better? And I think that you actually start working more because you see that everybody's working so hard that you're like, oh man, I need to step it up, right? So yes, it's amazing. I love to be in the position that I am.
Now, that's not to take anything away from what you're doing, because you have two teammates, one being Scott Dixon, who had to start last. He had struggled in qualifying. Kiffin's been doing well as also. I mean, he's got great information to look at with you and Scott, but you are still going out and basically kicking the crap out of everyone else, which is wild. But from a racing standpoint this year, no yellows, essentially. How has that surprised you? Because I still thought on lap one there was almost cars wrecking. Like, I believe that it's a lot closer to happening than people believe it is. But I mean, what is your thoughts on that?
I agree. I said before Barber, I said for sure at Barber we're gonna have yellows because Barber is tight. The overtaking spots are not very common, and everybody wants to go aggressive. So you will see that there's gonna be more than one yellow. Then suddenly there's no yellows. But I agree with you. When you're racing, everything is so much closer. On TV, it doesn't look like we're on the limit of crashing and then suddenly bringing like 3 yellows in a row. But it's how it feels. It feels like it's tough. It's like always, but for some reason, I think it's just been luck or unluck, whatever however they want to call it. But I think there's gonna be yellows for sure, and they are closer than everybody thinks.
I agree. Chase, I'm going to let you jump in here.
Yeah, Alex, one thing that I feel like hasn't been talked about enough is the partnership between Chip Ganassi Racing and OpenAI. How has that benefited you guys and you specifically over the last couple of months?
Yeah, it's been great having them. I mean, it's the first time that they're in the motorsport world. So they had to learn a lot about how everything works, and they are still learning and understanding how they can help. And the same for us. Like, I think AI is crazy nowadays. On like, you can do stuff that you never thought that you could do, and we need to try and understand how we can get the benefit and translate it into racing, right? So there's been a couple of stuff that it's been really good, but it's probably better not to share too much. But it's been good, it's been great, and I think there's gonna be more coming, and it's a great partnership.
Love that.
Man,
I love
the
it.
secrets are all in the AI now. We got the Ganassi cars out there doing robot vehicles. I get it. All right. Alex, let's talk a little bit about, we're going to have Rinus on the show as well, because we're going to have 2 stars of the race. The month of May ahead, officially, I would say, starts at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We obviously had, the Barber race. Great job. But we both tested at Indy GP. Tell us what you think about the new strategy rule that they're implementing with the 2 primaries and 2 alternates. I don't like that because we have struggled on the primaries, but I mean, do you think that's a forced situation of like, we got to try to make it? What do you think about it?
I think I don't like it. I don't like when you put rules and when you direct people to do one stuff. It's like, it's racing. Just let us do whatever we want. Like, I think when you put more rules, it makes the racing a bit more boring, just because everybody's going to have to run the same amount of tires. You cannot do anything differently that suddenly surprises people, because you're going to be forced to do something. And you could be in this scenario where everybody pits on the same lap with the same tires, and then it's tough to pass. Like, the best thing about the IndyCar is that you have 2 different compounds, you have refueling, you have the yellows, and you can do 2-stop strategies, 3, 4. Like you can do different ways of racing, and that's how you get passing. That's how you get activity on the track, and I don't think you're gonna get much activity or much passing when everybody's running the same exact strategy or tires. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope that we get there, and I hope that it's the best show ever, and suddenly we start implementing it. But as of now, without doing the race, without being there, I don't like the fact that they direct you what to do. It's like if now they say, okay, Connor and Alex, you can only do 10 laps, and then we will all refuel, and then we will do another 15 laps, and we will all refuel. It's like thermal, what we had on the heat race.
Yeah.
It was boring because you knew that you were going to have to stop after 10 or 15 laps. So anyway, hopefully I'm very wrong. Hopefully it's a great show, and hopefully everybody gets to enjoy it. But what do you think?
I mean, for me, that track specifically, obviously, is a very high grip track, so that's not terrible. But our car specifically works better on the red tires. No secrets there. We kind of know that. But yeah, I don't know. It depends on where you start, I would say, right? If you start up front, you kind of know probably what you want to do. But if you're starting at the back, I mean, you got a lap 1 yellow. People are starting on the primary, straight in, maybe put on another set, and then pit like in 10 laps again. And then like it's almost like a 5-stop race, but you eliminated 2 stops really early on. Like, who knows? It could get really weird, right? Like if you're Scott Dixon again and you have to start in the back, you're probably getting the primaries off right out the gate if there's a lap 1 yellow, and then you're putting them right back on, and then probably pitting in 10 laps or whenever the window opens, so you only have to pit another time for the reds, and then you're like, all right, cool, here we go.
Yeah, it could be that way.
Weird one.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna play, but the good thing is that it's the same for everybody.
Yeah.
Like we all need to go through that, but it could benefit a lot some people suddenly that they randomly pit on lap 3 and do something like what you said, and we are all hanging there with the primaries for like 25 laps and praying for our lives. Like, let's see what happens.
Exactly. All right, Chase, I'm going to let you get another one in here too.
Yeah, so another part of this race at Barber, like obviously dominating performance from you, and it's been that way all season. There's been a lot of talk lately about this, the hybrid unit in the car. And I wanted to know, because it seems like if it's affecting other people, it doesn't really seem like it's affecting you much, if that is the case. What specifically, or how specifically do you feel about it, and how have you adapted to it in the rate that you have?
Yeah, I mean, it changes the balance of the car quite a lot, especially some road courses. It just makes the car a bit heavier, a bit lazier. If you were on the limit of like oversteer, suddenly you could have like a ton of oversteer and drivable oversteer, or it could go to understeer. Like we had tracks where suddenly the car changes so much that we need to change the whole setup. So, yeah.
I'm glad you're not the only one.
Yeah, that's from a mechanical and setup standpoint. Then for the driver, it's a ton of work. Like, it's a ton of work. The way you need to, first of all, deploy. Like everybody knows how to deploy perfectly because the simulations, they tell you exactly how to deploy, but you need to do it after every corner. At Barber, it was like 4 deploys. And it was a ton of work. Like my fingers are like
because tell people a little bit about it, because everyone's on the same deploy strategy. So you're coming out of 2, everybody. You're deploying for like 2 seconds, but then if you're trying to use overtake at the same time, you're like 1. I don't know. I have it behind my steering wheel, so I have it behind and then overtake on the front. So your hands are doing a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're doing a lot, which makes it very interesting, and I think you can make small differences, but you're doing a lot. So yeah, example, it's Barber that out of 2 we would do like 2 or 3 second deploy on the uphill. But if you want to do overtake at the same time, you need to press another button wherever you have it. Like Connor has it on the front, I have it on the front as well, the overtake. But then you need to remember to unlatch the
you have to unlatch the deploy
the deploy, because otherwise it just runs out. So it's a ton of work. I feel like you can get a little bit of balance shift with the hybrid. Like as a driver, you can do different stuff with hybrid to get better balance in the race. I like it, but it's made the car heavier, lazier, and I would say a little bit tougher to follow because you're putting more stress on the tires. The tires are already on the limit. And when you follow a car, you lose downforce. Plus the hybrid, the tires cannot hold it anymore. So we have more of a dirty air feeling. So that's the part that we don't like. Hopefully we can fix it step by step. But yeah, that's where we're at.
It's an interesting one. And I agree with you that I think there are still some areas of the hybrid that teams probably haven't even got to yet, right? Like, is there a difference between, your hybrid strategy for qualifying in the race? I'm sure teams have kind of really dove into that aggressively. But I want to talk about something that I think is really important for the entire world of motorsport. And that's, when is Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, or McLaren? Oh, sorry, not McLaren. No, sorry, we're not allowed to mention them. My bad, but they were up front. So I was basically trying to name all the F1 teams that are running up front currently. Because from my standpoint, we recognize, and if you grew up in racing, you kind of know the best of the best always, Formula One is the goal no matter what. And you are having an amazing career here with Chip Ganassi Racing, and you've got a great relationship with those guys. And why would you ever want to leave something where you're just winning all the time? But it's still got to be in your mind. And I think those teams would be completely stupid if they weren't at least curious, like, hey, maybe we got to get this guy, signed up. Is that thought, and I've asked you this before, but does that thought even cross your mind? Is that an interest, or is it like, has it kind of started ratcheting up a little bit lately?
So everybody knows my story with F1, right? Like,
yeah.
I tried, I gave everything to try and get it. I couldn't get it. I had a small testing program, which was amazing. I learned a lot and it was fun, but didn't get an opportunity for a full seat. And that's it. End of the story. Well, it's not end. Like, we're continuing with a story in the background that with papers and documents and stuff, but like not driving wise. And
sticky notes and stuff like that. Yeah.
Some sticky notes and some quotes. But that's my story with F1. And then after that, I was lucky that I got the opportunity again and the trust to still drive the number 10 and to have the full faith from the team and support to try and win again. And we've done it. And that, then we've had an amazing 2 years after that. And now we're on the third one. And honestly, I've received 0 calls from F1.
That's crazy. That makes me makes me physically angry. Like, I think that is just so repulsive.
No,
and
we
so
like
disrespectful.
We like you here in IndyCar.
We like you here in IndyCar for sure, but it's horrible. I think so.
Well, so
unless you're lying to me, I'm going to be angry unless you're lying to me. But I don't.
I'm being honest. I could just say that there's nothing interesting, but I'm being honest. There's been no calls. Having that said, when there's calls, then it wouldn't be that easy as of today. But anyway, I'm not gonna get into anything because there's been like 0 calls. That's it. So that's end of the story. One thing for sure is that I understand at the same time why. It's also because because of the drama behind, and then on top of that, I'm getting old for the F1 as well. Like, it's not the same. No, it's not the same to be 29 years old. Let's say next year I'll be 29 years old as a rookie, than to be 18, or how old is Antonelli? I think it's 18 and a half, and being a rookie. So yes, I think my opportunity there kind of passed, and that's okay. And I'll try and focus on IndyCar as I've been doing the last 2 years.
Doing a great job of focusing on IndyCar right now. I'll tell you that, dude.
Thank you.
Well, despite all of what you just said, and despite all of the activities and your age, and I still think it would be a darn shame not to see you go up against those folks, because I believe that you would kick some butts, and that would be really awesome. But anyway, you're probably going to have a nice 400-year career here in IndyCar and win a bunch of championships like Scott Dixon, which is going to be cool. So anyway, we've got a race that obviously you have mentioned a lot in social media videos, the 500 ovals as well. You want to get that oval win. You want to get cooking on the ovals. We've actually got the funny part. My engineers actually mentioned this over the next like 2 months or something. 40% of the races are ovals, or it's something like, because we've got St. Louis coming up in June, and then Iowa not too far after. So there's actually a lot of ovals coming up now, which I'm obviously excited about for no particular reason. But Indy 500 test looked like it went pretty well for you guys. Can you give us maybe a heads up on how the Ganassi wagons are shaping up to be?
Honestly, I don't know. Like, man, it's I think last year we left the open test like, oh, we're not too bad, and then we showed up to the race and bang, slam here and there, and on qualifying we're like, oh shit, like where's the speed? And remember, that was coming from starting on pole in 2023. So yes, where are we? I don't know. I was comfortable with the car on both qualifying. Well, qualifying was on the limit. Like I was not super happy, but that was okay. At least the speed was there. And then on race trim, I felt comfortable. I felt I could pass some cars. I could stay up front. It was not too bad. So I'm excited. I don't want to get too excited. I don't want to peak too early. You know, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, let's do it. I'm more like, let's see how we feel, and then hopefully you can get some speed back from what we had last year, and hopefully you can fight for that race. What about you? How did you feel? You look okay. You look decent. Yet not on the first day.
No. We figured that out.
Okay.
We had a bad front wing, so once we got rid of that one, we figured it out.
That's important.
We'll see. I'm kind of like you. We need to show up maybe with a couple things to try, few things here and there, but we're not bad. I think what's most interesting though, manufacturer competition right now, I think is really interesting. Honda's undefeated right now. And look, I've got a chance to work with both manufacturers. Sadly, I've not been around long enough to have like a really great relationship with either. I actually like both, honestly. I've had a great relationship with both. I'm a Chevy guy though, through my heart right now. And I love what Chevrolet's doing, but it has to feel good for your guys' camp to be like feeling like, hey, we've got the field covered. I mean, have you noticed anything different in the Honda camp? Has it been like, hey, we're just going to go out and destroy everyone no matter what? Or are they still a little bit like, hey, we don't know what's going to happen when we show up to May?
Yeah, it's more like that. Like I think both manufacturers are the same. Like they don't really know. They think they have some updates or some here and there. And then you never know until you turn to, I would say qualifying, like Fast Friday. It's when we see how is everything, like how fast are we and how are the speeds. But I think we're excited. I think Honda struggled a little bit last year in terms of qualifying, not so much in the race. So we had really good speed there. And I think we're excited. We are hopeful that we can get that speed that we were lacking last year. I don't think it was for our Ganassi camp. It was not only the Honda. Like we were not the first Hondas. I think we had 3 Hondas in front of us. So we know we had something at home to do. And we're excited, but not too excited. At least I'm not too excited. I'm just like, keep calm.
Well, I know I'd be pretty excited no matter what. So it looks like you guys are in great shape. I appreciate you being on this show. I appreciate the fact that I guess, maybe in 20 years, I'll be telling my kids that like, yep, I had to race against Alex Palou occasionally, and not all the time, but occasionally, because maybe this is one of those generational runs that we don't see that often. So it's pretty cool to see. And honestly, I think people should respect it more than anything else, because I promise you, all of these other drivers are busting their butts to try to beat you. And when you go out there and do what you do again, it's a really impressive thing, knowing how much everyone here cares to try to win. So it's impressive. And that's why you're here on the show again, because we wanted to show the respect for that type of domination.
Thank you, Gunnar. Thank you, Chase. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, man. Well, we'll see you at the track during the month of May. It's going to be a wild one. Also, that HRC car, by the way, looked really cool. I'm not going to lie. That was a cool paint scheme. Again, I'm Team Chevy. I'm a Chevy guy, but the paint, I like good paint schemes. It was a cool paint scheme.
It was a cool paint scheme. It looked very nice. It looked classic. It looked nice, fast. Yeah, I like it.
There you go. Well, Alex Palou, we appreciate you, and we will see you probably again at some point on this show this year.
Sounds good. See you guys. Bye.
What a great chat with Alex Palou. Current IndyCar dominance that we really have not seen like this in a while. So really impressive. And honestly, I do hope I will be completely honest with everyone here because I'm an honest man. Our episodes with Alex Palou do not do that well, which and I don't know why, because I want to learn from the best, and Alex Palou is the best right now, and I think he has very interesting things to say. I think the conversation was fantastic, and so please give him a chance if you want to check out Alex Palou. I think the conversation with him is very mature. It's very smart. It's very interesting if you're a racing fan, and so yeah, definitely give it a chance. I think it's a great talk. And yeah, we're honored to have him on. Now, thankfully, we knew that people would want to listen to some more, so we're definitely going to have Rinus Veekay on, obviously, here in a few minutes. But I want to talk about a couple more details about the Indy GP. The Indy GP is coming right up, and we want to kind of throw a little bit of a preview. And there's a new tire rule. Obviously, you just heard it with Alex Palou. We talk a little bit about it. But the tire rule for the Indy GP is very similar to what we saw at Nashville last year. So Nashville, we were forced to run 2 of each. So 2 sets of primaries, 2 sets of alternates. This weekend, we are being forced to do the same thing. However, at Barber, we had five new sets of primaries, 5 new sets of alternates. At the Indy GP, we have 5 new sets of primaries, 4 new sets of alternates. So saving your alternates, well, it's going to be hard to save your alternates, especially if you make it all the way to the Fast 6. Those that do, it certainly changes things up. We need way more tires already in this sport, like way more to get things done, to take advantage of track time. But we actually have less now, so that's a shame. But the strategy side, as you heard with Alex, could be either crazy interesting or similar, depending on how different the tires are. We obviously tested at the Indy GP, and the primary we were able to test was the tire that we were going to race on. So I hope that helps us. But yeah, keep an eye out for tire usage in qualifying. You know, if you see cars maybe that make the Fast 12, try to make the Fast 6 on used alternates to keep a new set for the race. It will be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, Chase, I don't know if you're up for it, but you were good at predictions for Barber, and we've got some predictions to make for the Indy GP. I was very far off. Now, Marcus Armstrong was one of my picks. He did get a little bit held up in the pits, but the MSR squad was a little bit off, it seemed like, on the weekend. So let's get into maybe some picks for the Soncio Grand Prix, the Indy GP, which is going to be awesome. But again, I had Scotty Mack, Marcus Armstrong, and Alex Rossi. Now, Alex Rossi did have a good race, and Scotty Mack had a good race, but Scotty Mack only the only guy in the top 3 that I got. Now, you had Scotty Mack, Christian Lundgaard, and Will Power. All your guys from the top 5, so that was pretty good, pretty solid. You go first. Give me one pick, and then I'll go.
All right, so coming up for this weekend, I'm looking at some of the test results from the test that you actually were at, and I'm going to get probably a little wild with it. Scott Dixon ended up besting Palou at this road course test a few months back. I'm going to go with Dixon for a podium this weekend. I think that this is where he can start making that bounce back to try to gun for a little something more in the points, if you know what I mean. So
I love that. I'm going to take the easy bet, Alex Palou. I'm not trying to be funny anymore. We're not trying to find some golden geese. I'm gonna go Alex Palou. That's got to be one of my picks.
Golden geese.
No golden geese like Marcus Armstrong or Alex Rossi. We're going with Alex Palou. That's what we're doing.
There you go. Next, for me, another driver, I look for this guy to have a big bounce back. He had an incredible climb last year at this track, and that's Colton Herta. I don't think you can keep a good man down for too long. I think these guys are going to look at some of the mistakes that were made in the pits this week, and they're going to go back home in Indiana, and they're going to try to really capitalize on this weekend. So give me Herta for a podium.
Nice. I like that. That's a good one. This one's tough because I think a man that needs a good rebound, a man that has been kind of sneaky every now and then, could be Marcus Ericsson. I think we could see a good Marcus Ericsson showing here. A good Marcus Ericsson loves the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, good permanent road course driver. Obviously, Barber was a tough one for him, and they I assume they know why. But this is my trying to find a golden goose pick, even though I just said I wasn't trying to find a golden goose. This is my golden Easter egg, whatever it is. We're going to go Marcus Ericsson on the podium, and should be interesting.
Okay, and my final podium pick is going to be one of the guys that I had this past week. He's got a little streak going on right now, and arguably the hottest driver at McLaren, this Christian Lundgaard. He has performed really well at this track specifically, and I see that continuing on into the weekend. So those are my three picks: Dixon, Herta, and Lundgaard.
You know what? I'm going Pato O'Ward. Pato finally gets it, the breakout victory. Pato O'Ward needs it. Who would have thought that we'd be talking about Christian Lundgaard as the highlighted McLaren driver? Pato O'Ward's kind of been just like sneaking around. I don't know.
He's not going to stay there long.
Pato we know is very good. But, and I recently, what McLaren is doing too, I don't think people actually, and they will never really know, but Pato, the McLaren team are, they're partnered with the Formula One team, and the information that they have coming in, that what they can use over at MTC, the McLaren Technology Center, I'm sure is far more than we understand. And so I believe that we should see more out of that team. And I believe that we will soon. Christian Lundgaard's been right there, but maybe this is a Pato O'Ward breakout weekend. Pato O'Ward, I kind of want to be like Pato O'Ward, not only is in the top three, but gets the dub, but we'll see. That's my pick.
You got my gut churning now, because before I said Lundgaard, I kind of had this moment, because it's like, when is Pato going to snap? You know what I mean? Like, there's going to come a race, and like, you're talking about all the technology, all of the data that they have coming over from F1. I don't know if you saw Pato, but I had a good little chat with Pato on the grid at Barber. He's got these new shades that like go over. He's got these alien technology sunglasses.
Cool shades.
Yeah, they have a lot of alien technologies, maybe, coming over from McLaren. So, but I do agree, like Pato, with the star power that he has, with the kind of guy that he is, with the mindset that he has, he wants to win. He's hungry for it. How long is he going to sit without, battling? It's like we kind of forget though that like he did best him at thermal. So Pato has already shown that he can. It's just waiting for that comeback. This could be the weekend. So maybe I took Lundgaard, you take Pato, but the McLaren for sure. Up yonder, they will be there on that podium this weekend.
I agree. So the race on Saturday. Remember, folks, Saturday. Please do not wake up on Sunday and look for an IndyCar race, because you will have missed it. Later in the afternoon. So 4:45 intro to driver start your engines, about 4:52 green flag. So this is we're almost at a 5 p.m. race here. We got a little Saturday evening activities. So actually kind of cool. That means the warm-up is at a very reasonable time on Saturday. And we can have a nice Saturday afternoon at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in hopefully what looks like right now lovely weather. So let's I hope I didn't jinx it. I really hope I didn't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
But that is our Indy GP preview. For me personally, I love this race. I've led laps to this race before. I've had some great finishes here, and I really want this for our team. We need some help. We need some. Let's maybe take advantage of some strategy stuff. But I'm sticking with these guys. We're sticking with each other. There's a lot of work that we know that we need. And again, I think that people can take that however they want. And you've heard me talk about this before, but when you hear what Mike Shank says about Ganassi, like we talked about, when you hear how many differences there are between teams and information sources and what they've got coming in, and hearing kind of what some other teams are doing on an informational basis, and what they're tracking and getting in and using to be faster. I would say we're at the we need a little bit more to get there. So we're gonna work on that as a squad. We're gonna do it together. And when we do succeed as a group, it's going to feel really good. So I'm with these guys. We're all working it together. We're all trying to figure out how to make these cars just a little bit quicker. And I think Indy GP is a great place to do it because we also did test there. So that's really nice.
Absolutely.
With that, let's get to another driver who for sure was a star of the race, Rinus Veekay. Incredible finish. Right off the podium for the Dale Coyne Racing team. It's been a while since they've had such a good finish like that. But yeah, let's get to the young Dutchman, Rinus Veekay. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a great interview with Alex Palou already, but we had a very highly requested human being to be on the show. They said, get Rinus Veekay. A lot of tweets, a lot of Instagrammers, a lot of YouTube comments, a lot of post messages, got letters in the mail asking to have you on. I'm just kidding. I didn't get any letters in the mail. But a great drive from Rinus Veekay, finishing 4th. And that is a finish for that team that they haven't seen in a little bit, I would say. A great group. Rinus, great job. I mean, how does that feel? It has to feel strong.
That was pretty good. Just feels awesome. I mean, especially being the final driver to be signed this season, coming out of the top 10 in St. Pete. 2 tough weekends back-to-back into, just almost the podium here in Barber. So that was just really a relieving weekend for us.
Give us the highs and lows, because obviously you mentioned 2 tough weekends. And again, we know that team is, and you're seeing it a little bit lower on resources probably than other folks. I mean, you guys got your engineers very late. You're still adding people to the team. And you didn't forget how to drive on those 2 weekends. But sometimes with the way this series is right now, it's so competitive and so close that you got to have everything perfectly dialed in. But kind of give us what that has felt like, the highs and lows.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been good. We've had pace so far, except Long Beach. But I think, St. Pete, we were good. Road courses, both thermal and Barber now, we've been good. So those have been highs. I mean, there's been a few screw ups. I mean, we had a tire issue in thermal, and things that still happen. But I think so far, especially Barber, the whole weekend, we started out away. We weren't really happy. Went with the backup plan, and that was perfect. So we executed everything to the maximum. It was just one of those weekends where everything goes into our advantage. Even during the race, when Herta had that bad stop, I got clean air, and it's the little things that make things just a little bit easier when you're out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting that you mentioned that, because at a full green race, when you do have something like that happen, you like, hey, oh my gosh, I got a section of clean air, and you obviously know that you're fast, so you can take advantage of that. When there's no yellows, have you been surprised by how few yellows there are? I asked Alex Palou, and he's like, this is crazy, because you still had a great defensive racing. I mean, there are still cars driving side by side, and there are people close to each other. Louis Foster was off the track there for a little while, but what's it been like for you? Is this kind of crazy?
It is crazy. It's unheard of. I think the last time we've had a full green, just one full green race, that was in my rookie year, I think. So it's been crazy. I keep saying, well, this race, people must go crazy, and it doesn't.
No, me too. We're all thinking that.
I was hoping for it in Long Beach for it to happen, but especially you look at Scott Dixon. He's one of the fastest guys out there. He's quick, but you cannot do much when you're just doing it on an outright pace from the back.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, Scott Dixon still strategied his way somehow up to 12th, but there's no crazy like, oh, this guy started 16th and won the race. You know what I mean? It's just not happening when there's no yellows. It's not happening like that. And Alex Palou is so dominant right now. Who do you think is going to be the first to beat him? Like, obviously, Kyle Kirkwood, we got to say, hey, give him credit where credit's due. But who's going to be the one who finally takes another race win or starts to get another couple race wins in a row? You think it's a McLaren? You think it's yourself? I mean, you've won at Indy GP before. Is it time to get it again?
I mean, if there's any track, that's the one. I think we should be good. It's not too different than Barber, so I'm planning to have a good weekend there again. But I think if there's two contenders, I think it's Christian Lundgaard or Scott McLaughlin. I think those are the two that can mess things up for Alex. But so far, I think we're almost ready to crown him champion for 2025.
No, not yet. We can't do it.
Almost.
Can't do it yet.
We got time.
Yeah. I have the race on literally on my TV right now as I'm watching it. You had another, you just passed an ECR car. I'm sure that felt good.
Great.
And it looked good too while you did it. So that's awesome. But talk about what it's been like to drive for Dale Coyne. Now, Dale Coyne, I drove for Dale. Great guy, a true racer, but probably a totally different environment than you got used to at ECR. But tell us the relationship with you and Dale and how that's been going so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really fun so far. I think that's the right word. It's been very fun. It's been, quite laid back. There's not a lot of pressure out there. And for me, I'm really hired to be the guy, hired to be the next Justin Wilson for them or Sebastian Bourdais. So it gives me a lot of confidence when I'm there. I say something, they listen right away. And then I think driver feedback goes a lot further than what I'm used to. Especially with a team that has fewer resources than what I'm used to. I think at Carpenter always had great resources. And going back, it's almost like taking a step back and just looking at things from a different perspective. And so far, the kind of the way we've gone into things is the right way. So it makes it a lot of fun when things work out, and when you put more time and work into it, it just feels good.
That's good. Chase, I'm going to let you jump in.
Yeah, you're talking about that now. I know going into the race at Barber, it wasn't any shock for me that you had a great finish. You've shown that you can do that before, and we got other races coming up like the Indy GP, like you were just talking about, that you've won at. But specifically, you being with Dale Coyne, what has the day-to-day been like with you kind of like working on the back end with the team, and how have you noticed the morale shift since the beginning of the season to now?
Well, I mean, just when we started testing, even the first test I did with them without being their driver, and in Indy when I tested in October, we put the car in third place in the test with 11 cars. That was great. Everybody was super happy, and you can just see, the engineers. You can see the crew, like, what they're doing isn't wrong. It just needs to be shown, and somebody needs to go out there and maximize and put things down. So I think for especially when we started St. Pete with the top 10 and qualified ahead of the mid pack 2 races in a row with thermal there too. I think that was really good. And this P4 really for the guys, we were celebrating a win almost. So that was just so good. And I mean, just it's been such a long time. Everybody in the team is really talented, and they finally get something back for all the work they've put in.
I love that. No, I love to hear it. There's a lot of great guys on your squad. I mean, even folks that were on my car when I was a rookie there, just some great people that just are true racers, and it's really cool to see. Tell us a little bit about working with Jacob Abel, your teammate. Obviously, he's kind of struggled a little bit to start this season, but good young dude. He's trying to get after it, and I would say having you as a teammate with your data has to be a really big help for him. What's it been like working with him so far?
Yeah, definitely. It's been really fun. He's a great guy. I mean, I have never met anybody in the IndyCar or any next paddock that has that many friends within IndyCar. So he's a great guy, and I mean, it's been tough for him. I think not having any yellows is not really helping him either, as an IndyCar rookie. But he's had his struggles, and it's hard getting into IndyCar with how close it is, how perfect you have to be. You really get get punished when there's no yellows and you lose 5 seconds. In the end, you are 5 seconds back from wherever you were. So it's just that hard. And I'm sure he's very talented. He is very talented, and he's gonna get there sometime. And yeah, he'll be fine.
I love that. So obviously we've got 2 races at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway coming up. The Indy GP, which we both like. We love that circuit. You're obviously very good there, a winner there. But let's talk a little bit about the Indy 500. We all did the open test. What are your feelings about it so far? Maybe the differences in what you like. Let's be honest. We had really fast cars at ECR at the Indy 500. Like we know that. You've been an insane qualifier there, an insane racer there, like so fast all the time. Probably a little bit of a different situation there at Dale Coyne Racing. Not terrible, but just globally different no matter what, and a different manufacturer. Tell us a little bit about kind of your open test and what you felt about it.
Yeah, it's been a little bit different. I think we had a good open test. We had a little taste of the high boost qualifying simulation-ish on the second day. We didn't trim at all, but I think for qualifying sims, we need a little bit of a better car where when we take the downforce off, it's a bit better balanced. But honestly, in race traffic at the end of the day, we were racing super well. We were under people's gearboxes. It felt like I was driving an ECR car on the speedway. So it was super comfortable. We unfortunately had a weight jacker issue that's, a big tool when you're racing in traffic. So could only be better. But I think to start, we have a very, very comfortable, very well-behaving car. Also for Jacob, I think it's going to be a huge difference when he starts out with a car that just aspires confidence and makes you able to push without shitting your pants.
That's an important thing to have at the Indianapolis. That's a good point. Chase, I'll let you jump in again.
Yeah, so I know we got some of these big races that are coming up, and we can look at some of your stronger tracks that you have just, in your portfolio. What are some tracks that you really enjoy or you really like other than, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway that you need to get better on and that you have in your sights to truly improve on this season?
Well, I think short ovals. I've really learned to like short ovals over the last season. I had a really strong season finish there on short ovals. I don't think our car was that great with ECR on the short ovals, so I'm actually really excited to drive the Coyne car on short ovals. Maluka's got 2 back-to-back season podiums in Gateway, which we still have that data. We can still learn from that. So I'm really excited to drive the car there. That's actually just like in Indianapolis, gives me confidence to push and makes me feel like I'm racing a car and not trying to not crash. So.
Yeah,
that's really important.
It can feel like that.
Yeah. Right. Give us some folks from the Indy Open test that you think we should watch. Give us some folks that were like, hey, these guys look really good. Because I said a couple after the test, but I want to hear your thoughts on who you were around, because there were a couple cars that I was never around at all, so I didn't really get to see a ton. But who do you think stood out?
Joseph, to me, stood out. Man, that guy... I was driving hard, and I could just pass him before the end of the straightaway. He passed me and gapped me before turn 1, so he was quick. If there's any car that seems strong, it's definitely that car. Another Penske, Will Power, didn't seem as dominant as Joseph was. So if anyone stood out in traffic there, I think it was Joseph. Unfortunately, because we got to beat that guy.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's a good point. That's a good point.
Cool, though. I mean, a three-peat, I feel like we haven't seen the three-peat.
Cancel the three-peat.
Not with below right now. We can't have it.
Right.
Yeah. Can't do it. Rinus, I think what you've done with Dale Coyne Racing it has been really cool, and very, very. I think obviously you know how I feel about it, and I think we know how it's got to be a bit of a liberating feeling, a bit of a just good feeling to continue to show what you're made of, and I believe. I don't know why Roger Penske's not calling you already. You know what I mean? Like Rinus needs to be in a. I want to see Rinus in a Penske car. I think that would be a huge situation. But now, hey, maybe Dale's going to fight Roger off. Who knows?
Who knows? Well, we got a
but
great car.
You're still a young guy. So I would say, are we living life one weekend at a time and just like, hey, here we go? Obviously, you're in here for the season. You're going to have a great season with these guys. But, you know, it's got to kind of reinvigorate your confidence after being kind of basically just left hung out to dry at the end of last season.
Yeah, it really gives me confidence because I was questioning my abilities at times too.
It's a mental battle.
It is.
Big mental battle.
The hard thing about IndyCar is, well, unless you're Palou, you cannot win every weekend. So
yeah,
it's hard coming, especially from the road to Indy, where a bad weekend is a P4. You know, you go to IndyCar and you have to just adjust your expectations and goals. But really, what really supported this season for me is I can just choose another identity when I go, you know, from ECR, where I have been my whole IndyCar career, to Dale Coyne Racing. You know, I can just prepare way better than I always have. I can show up with an attitude that, you know, for them will be how they know me. With ECR, you know, I've been a rookie. I've made mistakes, and I've been prepared, unprepared. You know, I've been through a trajectory of things. But now with Dale Coyne Racing, I can be the veteran that I've always tried to be. So yeah, I think it's been really good so far, and it just gives me the feeling that, you know, I can really lead this team and have a strong voice. Yeah. I
love that. No, that's great. Well, Rinus, we appreciate you being on this show. Thanks for agreeing to it last minute. I know
it's fun. Love to be here.
I had a lot of people asking for you, so I we'll see what happens.
I have one
How do you
question.
feel about this? This was a question that I wanted to ask too. How do you feel about this tire rule that we got for the Indy GP coming up? 2 primaries, 2 reds. I'm not a fan. Palou already said he's not a fan either, but what do we think?
I mean, might as well fire our strategists right now.
Yeah.
So, I think it's
a good point.
It's just like driving Indian X-rays almost. Just fuel is an issue now, so I'm not a fan. I'm not sure who voted yes on this, but it is what it is. You know, gotta do what we gotta do with the rules right now. But yeah, it'll be. I don't think it's gonna be more exciting, actually.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm not really sure on that one. Chase, did you say you had one other one real quick?
I do, yes.
Okay.
So there's kind of been a cultural revolution that I've been spearheading in IndyCar. It's been mustache power rankings. I just wanted to say you could have a very strong mustache, Rinus, if you allowed to have. Do you think that it would be possible for us to maybe see a Rinus mustache going into the Indy 500 weekend?
I think so. I always want to have a little bit of a few results before I pull off something like that, so I don't look like a total idiot. But
no, you can't, dude. You'd be strong. Someone's got to challenge Louis Foster. That's all I got to say. Someone's got to challenge him at some point.
He's got a good stash. The only thing with me, my eyebrows are like stashes, so I'll have like 3 eyebrows or 3 stashes on my face.
That could catapult you to first place.
Exact same girth. So,
strong, yeah, girth. Yeah, you definitely got that face girth with the hair. I agree.
You gotta have it. You gotta have it.
Good word choice too.
Yeah,
That's
thanks.
American right there.
Yeah, it's you know, I'm slowly getting there in my American word choice.
I love it.
Yeah,
well, Rinus, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Good luck this weekend. We'll see you at the track here very soon. And great job over the weekend.
Thank you. I'll see you guys in Indy. Have a good one.
All right. We appreciate Rinus Veekay as always. Great driver. I love what he's doing. I just think it's a great to see him get another shot after being, I would say, very unfairly fired by ECR. However, probably the best thing that could have happened to him in his career, just like me. So with that, let's get to the Ricky Treadway random Indy 500 driver of the week.
Greatest event of its kind that's ever been run on.
Let's meet the drivers. Who will make up the field?
This week we went to a year that we have not used before. That year is actually the year that I was born, 1991. So 1991 we haven't used this year, but there are a lot of names that we all know. We didn't this is one that you're going to be like, that's not that random, but we're going to go with it anyway because this is a name that everyone should know. This was a name that I remember from the histories. A man that carried the Panasonic colors before Takuma Sato did, Hiro Matsushita. Hiro Matsushita finished 16th in the 1991 Indy 500, which was won, of course, by Rick Mears. Hiro was, I don't want to RIP him yet. Goodness gracious. Obviously, it's on Wikipedia, Japanese businessman and former racing driver. He is the grandson of the founder of Panasonic. That's huge. Wild. That's a good sponsor. Really, really cool. So, he was the first Japanese driver to race in the Indy 500. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Despite being the grandson of the founder of Panasonic, he refused to be labeled as a rich kid who could buy his way into anything. He instead worked his way up from the bottom, starting his racing career in motorcycles. Oh, wow. In his home country between 1977 and 1980 before switching to four wheels. He retired from motocross racing by becoming champion in the Kansai region in 1980 at the age of 19. Hiro Matsushita, I don't know why how many Indy 500s he has been in is not showing up on Wikipedia. Do you see how many Indy 500s he's been in?
I'm looking here.
He raced for a long time.
I see a lot of races, but I don't see necessarily how many Indy 500s. He's raced for a
very long time because I knew the name, very, very famous name in IndyCar, and honestly, a lot of respect for him. Hiro Matsushita. Shout out Hiro for being the Ricky Treadway Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week this week. And with that, we'll wrap it up. We have really much enjoyed this show. It's been a lot of fun. But with that, we appreciate all you folks. Watch the Indy GP this weekend. It's going to be amazing. And remember, it's on Fox. If you're not watching Fox, then we don't know why you're listening to the show. So please watch it. It's going to be awesome. We'll see you next week with another race winner, we hope, other than Alex Palou on this show. So see you next week on Speed Street. Hey everyone, Connor Daly here. Please leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it, and also subscribe to the channel as well. That would be very helpful. Be a friend, tell a friend. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll see you on the next episode of Speed Street.